everybody, and welcome to yet another Rambling Rant review. Today we'll be discussing RWBY Volume 3, Chapter 11, Heroes and Monsters. And this is such an action-packed episode. I just gotta say that the first time watching it, it literally had me jumping up from my seat and shouting at my screen when I watched it. There's just so many good moments in it. And speaking of some of those moments, I know this sounds like a broken record, but this episode, more than ever, is going to require a little bit of parental guidance. Okay, a lot. Because this is no longer your cute and cuddly RWBY. It's pretty damn depressing, and some people gonna die. We start this episode as the Grim Dragon flies past RWBY, supposedly on its way to the school. He ignores RWBY, but not all of the Grimm do, and start attacking her while she's on the top of the ship. RWBY takes out a griffin on her own, though it rather winded her to do it on her own. But her next opponents will be the daring duo of Neo and Torchwick. And apparently, Skrulls now have Snapchat. We switch over to Blake and Adam, and we will be having a lot of these quick scene changes, which sometimes can be jarring, but I found in this episode was done so well and made the pacing just perfect. But here we are with Adam taunting Blake, calling her a coward and berating her on how dare she could betray him. Adam is going on about the revolution, but now he just seems to hate for hate's sake. No equality, no real justice. Blake steps in, finally though, to save a civilian, but she's outmatched right from the get-go.
But not before you've suffered for your betrayal, my love.
Still creepy. Back over to the B team plus Weiss. They are fighting off the Elysian Knights and having a hard time of it too. Yatsuhashi, Nora, Ren, they're all taken out. Then, something epic happens. Velvet steps up, calm, composed, yet a little bit excited. The epic music starts playing in behind, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, we finally get to see what's in the box! And really, it's not what's in the box, but the box itself. The box is a hard light projector. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Velvet copies other people's weapons with her camera and then reproduces them like a bloody green lantern using hard light holograms. But that's not all. Not only does she copy the weapons, but also the weapon owner's fighting styles as well. Meaning that not only is her projector photographic based, but her memory is too. She was at the festival the whole time, watching everyone fight, putting that photographic memory to use. You could also compare it to Archer from Fate's Stay Night with his unlimited blade works.
I am the bone of my soul.
Not only does she copy each weapon and fighting style, but she also transitions from each one seamlessly, mimicking certain scenes from the trailers while at it. Velvet decimates one Elysian Knight and is making work of the second, but seems to be losing steam fast. The others finally quit standing around and offer cover fire for Velvet, but Weiss takes things one step further. Check out this shot. I love this scene. It's for two good things. One, it kind of shows her snapping in a good way. It's really more, how to say it? It's more like her letting go of her reservations, getting rid of that mental block that she has. Also, on a technical note, I love the camera trick they use right before she starts running. Its technical name is a dolly zoom, but it's more commonly known as the vertigo effect. It's made by physically moving the camera while using the lens in the camera to zoom out or in, leaving the subject in the same framing, but changing the field of view around it. It's used in classic media to exaggerate how long a drop could be for like distance, thus vertigo. But here, and in a lot of anime, this perspective trick is used more to exaggerate the speed of a running character. Okay, so moving on. It's great to see her, Weiss, let go of her inhibitions, charging in to help Velvet. And what do we see above her as she charges in? A new sigil, this one with swords adorning it. The thing is, at first, I don't even think she realizes that it's there. She doesn't even realize she's doing this. All she knows is that she has to save Velvet. At the same time, moves past that mental block she's been bringing forth since her first summon. And then the arm with the giant sword slices the Atlesian Knight in half. Now, if you think of it, this is only a partial summon. And look how powerful it is. Imagine how powerful this thing could be when she summons the whole thing. But that's not the last of the Elysian Knights.
You have got to be kidding me!
Change scene again to Ironwood's ship, still under the command of Torchwick and Neo. I love this sequence. Most of all, this weird scythe boomerang attack RWBY uses. It just really shows like her command over that weapon. But she is caught off guard by Roman, with it now being 2 versus 1, and the Grim attacking RWBY. She's not doing so well. Pushed literally to the edge. But in a bold move, RWBY evens the playing field, catching Neo off guard, sending her off into the sky like Mary Poppins, and also giving us Neo's first ever bit of voice acting.
Neo!
Hey, it's better than nothing. Now, this is very interesting because Torchwick seems actually concerned about Neo here. This opens up so many lines of thought and possibilities as to Torchwick's motives. Now that we know that he actually can care for somebody other than himself. He also said before,
"It's not what I have to gain, it's that I can't afford to lose."
Now, what is it that Torchwick can't afford to lose? Well, since we know that he can care for other people, is there somebody being held hostage? Is it his own life, maybe? I doubt that, because he's already risking his own life right now. Could it be Neo's? Well, she can already handle herself, and he does show concern for her. But as him and RWBY continue to fight, and RWBY delivers some great heroic lines of her own with great facial expressions and action lines thrown in for good measure, I gotta say, that's great delivery of those lines by Lindsay Jones here. But there's just one out of place ow while Torchwick was beating on her with his cane. I'm nitpicking, I'm sorry, but hey, it's what I do. God, I love Torchwick's monologue here. It really shows that he had some sort of past like I was talking about. And I'm starting to think maybe he was a huntsman himself before he turned to crime. It's been confirmed that he has a semblance, and he is a great fighter, so why not? And especially when he says this line.
You want to be a hero? Then play the part and die like every other huntsman in history!
This really makes me think that he was once a huntsman and survived a war or battle where the rest of his team got wiped out, and now his remorse has turned into hate and maybe self-hate, because even back then he did anything to survive. And this is truly great character development for a villain, and it opens so many possibilities for Roman's character to grow, expand, and he's dead. What? Alright, so first Neo gets Mary Poppins, and then Torchwick gets Geppettoed? Look at that! One gulp! He didn't even bother chewing him! What is he? A bloody griffin or a duck? So right after he gets eaten, RWBY simply kicks the Alpha Griffin and explodes. Wow, that kind of sounds anticlimactic when you say it that way. Well, that's because it is! Episode synopsis. At the 9-minute mark, RWBY kicks Griffin, it falls into ship bridge and explodes. Yep, that's what happens! It just feels like there's a page of the script missing. It just got left out there. We had this epic fight, and then this monologue from Torchwick, and at least maybe have like RWBY run over, grab her rifle, and then shoot the Griffin into the bridge, and then she just says, "Roman, bite me. Okay, moving on. Let's look at some other bits of that scene. Outside of Roman's brief character development, we now see that RWBY is no longer useless without the Crescent Rose. This is her third time without it. First versus Mercury, not much of a fight, more just her escaping. Secondly, with Penny's sword, she's not unarmed, but it shows that she is able to adapt easily to a situation and just use anything she can for a weapon. And now, with just hand-to-hand combat, she is combining her semblance, charging at people, doing full-on body checks to do whatever damage she can, just going for any advantage she can. It really goes to show that she is a tier above a lot of other people, but I just don't see why this didn't happen before in Volume 2. Has there really been that much time? Has she really had that much time to train in between there? Either way, it's an improvement. Also, going back to Roman, yes, I know, I thought I was done with him too. When he's kind of beating on RWBY with his cane there, does anyone else get a Batman under the Red Hood vibe from Torchwick?
So, let's try and clear this up, okay, Pumpkin? What hurts more? A or B?
By the way, probably one of the best Batman animated movies out there. Jensen Ackles from Supernatural as the Red Hood, John DiMaggio, I'm butchering these names, I'm sorry, who's plays Jake from Adventure Time, and Bender from Futurama as the Joker, and then Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing. Such a great movie cast for a wonderful movie. Okay, back to RWBY. The ship is now falling out of the sky, and I still don't think this is exactly when it falls, as in the opening theme. Something bigger needs to happen for that. So RWBY runs over, grabs her Crescent Rose, and uses it like a pogo stick, blasting her way to safety. So, with RWBY now safe on a roof somewhere, we're off to more robot/Grimm fighting on the ground with Glinda, Qrow, and Cardin? It's actually nice to see that after being the school bully, he's kind of straightened out and is now doing some good. Unfortunately, he's not that bright and gets himself easily surrounded by the robots. To be saved by none other, the Terminator himself, Ironwood! That's right, baby, my new fave character is back and sporting those cybernetics just like I said he would, and more. Not just his robotic arm, but his whole right side of his body is cybernetic. That cinches it. That has to cinch it. If Ironwood can survive his last crash, then I'm sure Torchwick can survive this one. Yes, that's right. I'm gonna be that guy. Penny is alive, Torchwick is alive. I'm sure of it. And if you think, just because Torchwick was swallowed up by that Grimm, I mentioned before, he was swallowed up in one gulp, like a duck. No chewing involved. So he's inside there in one piece.
Where is my goddamn shoe?
That just means that Torchwick only needs to survive the crash, and to be quite honest, that big ship kind of went down softer than Ironwood's did. Back to Ironwood and the others, Qrow transforms his sword into scythe mode, and then suddenly charges at Ironwood, giving him a good scare, but goes right past him, slicing a griffin right in half in one slice. Finally, that beautiful scythe reveal. While it does kind of look a bit basic, its form can be deceiving, I think. It's more compact and basic than RWBY's, but you can kind of tell in the way he uses it and the way it's so streamlined is that it's meant for speed, almost a pure offensive weapon with little to no defense. It's very, very cool, but unfortunately it gets buried under all the other reveal hype going on this episode. Even after that happens, Ironwood regains his composure quickly, coming up with an evacuation plan. Also, with all that's going on, Qrow can still be a smartass.
Well, it won't be much of a walk.
With Ironwood's flagship crashing down, it deactivates all the robots. Luckily, not just for Ironwood's group, but the B team plus Weiss as well. And damn, she looks tired here, as it probably being her first time summoning, it probably used up a lot of her aura / stamina. So Yang shows up. Okay, so she hasn't run away yet, so I don't know, I just didn't see her last episode, I assumed the worst. So Yang shows up, and Weiss points her in the direction of Blake, Yang telling Weiss to go find Ruby after she's caught her breath. Now, from here on out, I'm gonna do something a bit odd. The scene jumping happens too fast for me to properly analyze a scene in a way that I can kind of find coherent. So, I'm gonna stick with one scene, but I want you to know that in the show, they're jumping back and forth with the pacing between scenes. So I'm gonna jump in, and we're gonna start with Yang and Blake for now.
This could have been our day. Can't you see that?
Back to Blake. She's no match for the crazed Adam Taurus, and his name makes so much sense now. Taurus, as in the bull, a bull that sees red to the point that his anger dictates all of his actions to such an extreme. His anger towards the humans, his anger towards Blake, and now that anger is deflecting off of Blake towards anything Blake cares for, just so he can try and hurt her back. Adam stabs Blake, purposely baiting Yang into a blind rage, oh no, Jesus Christ! Oh, she just got disarmed. Come on, it's Yang. I'm sure she would appreciate it. You know what? I even think she would give it 2 thumbs up. Okay, that was a bit too far. I'm sorry. This is a very emotionally charged scene. It's very sad, the slow motion fall of Yang, but it's oddly beautiful in its own weird way. That, I don't know how to describe it, the black and red art style of that scene. It's also a very nice throwback to the Black trailer when Adam does the same sheathed sword / attack to the giant droid on that train. There is, sadly to say, no way that Yang could have won that fight, even if her semblance was fully charged. Although Adam is a nutbar, he's a highly skilled one, and he uses her own momentum and her rage against her. Basically, she charged blindly into his blade. And as we see her fall, it's interesting that there is little to no blood. Now, in reality, this is a stylistic way to censor Yang's injury. But canonically speaking, it could also be explained that Yang's aura is gathering at her wound to try and protect it like some sort of aura clot, almost like how your blood would cover a wound and scab up. Her aura is doing the same thing. Luckily, Blake, being quick-witted, uses her clone semblance to distract Adam long enough for them to get away, and he slowly follows them like the creepy stalker he is. Sheesh! I'm curious if Blake only made a clone of herself in that scene, or if there were 2 clones of Blake and Yang. That's very interesting because that means that Blake can make clones of that look like other people. That's a very big upgrade on her. Does that just mean that she learned it right now? Like in the moment, kind of like how Weiss just kind of unlocked the power in the middle of a fight, that Blake did it right now? Or is that something she's been able to do all along, we just never noticed? Secondly, Adam is a bloody masochist. I'm no longer into this whole grim mind control theory. Nothing. This is just so Beauty and the Beast outside of the Disney movie cuteness. I really gotta say, Blake is just a former Stockholm Syndrome escapee, and that crazy effer is willing to do anything to show how much he used to love her, and just fuck up everything he stands for, she stands for. What the hell level of therapies won't cure this guy? This is just so beyond what you'd expect. Like, man, talk about messy breakups, but this guy's just so far off the deep end. It blows my mind. While this is all going on, the show is cutting back and forth beautifully between this fight with Adam and then at the same time cutting over to Osmond, Pyrrha, and Jean, who are in the Beacon Vault. Now let's talk about this one for a little bit in its entirety. Pyrrha agrees to go through with the Aura Maiden transfer, but Jean still doesn't understand truly what's going on, but still dutifully tries to protect her, even coming to her aid when she sounded like she was in pain. But she was not the one that needed protecting. Amber's dead. This cancels the aura transfer from Pyrrha and completes the original Grimm transfer process began by Cinder. Now, notice that the process had already begun transferring something into Pyrrha. She would not have been in pain if nothing had happened. So I think she still received Amber's original aura or soul, just not the powers of the Fall Maiden. God damn, I hate her so much, but I love this power-up sort of stance by Cinder. She reminds me of a cross of like Magneto and Phoenix mixed together. Pyrrha, once she gets out of the device, is oddly okay and able to grab Jean and run out to get help on Ozpin's order, leaving a fully powered up Cinder and Ozpin alone in the vault. Now, they could have just started fighting right there and then, but they have a little bit of banter. Cinder says,
"She was right about you. Such arrogance."
And then they fade to black. She was right about you. Who is she? This could be maybe a Queen Grimm, but how would a ruler of Grimm know so much about the maidens unless maybe the she that Cinder is talking about is a maiden herself that has gone bad? Well, to figure that out, we'll have to wait till next time to find out. God damn, it really goes to show how much thought went into the pacing of those last few scenes, because it's so fast-paced back and forth. It was damn near impossible for me to try to review them the way they were, but it was so enjoyable to watch, keeping you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Oh God, what's gonna happen to Blake and Yang? Oh God, what's gonna happen to Jean and Pyrrha and Ozpin? Oh God, why is this all happening? Such a great episode overall, and my only complaints going back to Roman, it was just such quick ending to the Roman and RWBY fight, and that one out of place owl during their fight, a very minor technical issue, but hey, the rest was just so exhausting in a good way. Like a good way that, you know, you're so invested that they have you hooked and you're being drained emotionally while watching that at the end you're just okay, that's all for me, everybody. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And as always, this is just my opinion. I am not an expert. If you know something I don't, or just feel like debating, feel free to leave a comment below. You can also find me at SwirlyU on Twitter and the same on Tumblr. And until next time, good night, everybody!